both of these cards have a little something they're hiding, don't they? We're not going to forget what these cards used to be. The new card just incorporates the energy of what's underneath it. So this is a Jack of Clubs who carries the energy of the Nine of Hearts. This Six of Hearts here carries the energy of the Two of Clubs. It just gives a little more depth to those cards. Now, it's a little unusual that it only took one card before these cards got paired up. Sometimes you'll turn several cards waiting for pairs to happen, and then you'll get a little stack of cards, and that just adds more information, more depth to that particular card that you can read then when you're interpreting everything. Also, I should mention sometimes a card will not pair up. Sometimes cards will be very stubborn about staying solo. You'll go through your whole stack sometimes and you'll have a card left over. Or sometimes I've laid the cards out wrong. I put 35 cards down on the table instead of 36. And in that instance, you'll get a leftover card as well. Remember, there are no mistakes. Everything is in order. And when you have a leftover card, I feel that it is not a fortunate blessing for the person you're reading for. It's like something unresolved. It's something that's going to have to cycle around again at another point in time, maybe future lifetime, to find resolution. So you want everything to pair up if at all possible. Now let's move to our interpretation of what we have here on the table now. I'm going to start with this little grouping of cards just because it's close to me and it's speaking to me here. So I've got these two court figures. I like to start with the courts since they're the actors in my story. I've got an older male and a younger female. Feels like maybe a father and a daughter combination. They're in a very harmonious suit combination of diamonds and clubs, in other words, fire and air, which is a very playful suit combination. They're also looking at each other. She's looking back over her shoulder. It feels like a very nice relationship to me. On top of her here, I have the Six of Hearts. This is typically interpreted as the home or house, and so that confirms to me what my initial thought was about a father and a daughter. Maybe this is the house they grew up in or something like that. Now, I need to remember that all pairs are read together. So it's not just the home, it's the home plus this Six of Spades, which is called the ruin. The ruin I would commonly interpret as something from the past coming round to visit. Something from the past that is rearing its head, seeking resolution of some sort. But because these two are also in a harmonious suit pair, hearts and spades are water and earth, and they tend to work really well together. And I have this harmonious suit combination. The feeling I'm getting is not like, ooh, something from the past. It's more like, what else could I interpret this as? Well, the illustration shows a house in the wintertime. Spades is the suit of winter. And the illustration helps us remember that. So maybe this house was up somewhere in the north. Maybe they lived up in a northern place. Or maybe the house was in need of repair. This is a crumbling structure on here. So it could be a real simple interpretation like that that has relevance to what the spread is communicating. Then I want to travel here because these two cards obviously have relevance also. I've got these two wind cards, cards of the number 4. I've got this sort of very gentle, nice west wind combined with this very playful sort of prankster wind of the south. And typically that might represent, you know, a turn of events or something unexpected happening in this younger person's life. Now, another thing that's hitting me is I'm sitting here in my house today. It's freezing outside. It's December now. And the wind is swirling round and round. I can hear it as I'm filming this. And I feel like my father's with me. You know, he helped me in the creation of the playing card oracles. And I actually ran to him in the dream that I had where I was given this spread and told him about it. And so it's feeling like, wow, the cards are reflecting what's going on here. They're not just a fantasy story. They can't help but reflect. And so let's not forget about this card here too. We kind of ignored it. But this is the Two of Clubs. It's a lot about the exchange of information, the sharing of ideas, a friendship, which very much feels like the dynamic of our relationship here. And it could even represent communication with something beyond this world. And since my father has passed, I feel very much like that fits. So I'm going to let that be. Now I'm going to move across the table, and I wanted to touch on these two cards since they do have these other energies here underneath them. These are very intense cards that they're carrying, even though the relationship between these two feels very happy-go-lucky between diamonds and clubs. So the face they're showing on the outside is very different from what's going on or the relationship under the skin. So that's a really interesting dynamic, and they're not really touching or playing with any other cards around here. They're sort of isolated, and that's the message that wanted to be conveyed there. So it feels a little dangerous, a little vindictive, a little like past life history or something that isn't exactly what they show on the outside. Okay, I've got this pair here, this king and this queen. I've got this queen almost pounced on top of the king underneath her. She feels a little bit like she's smothering the king underneath, and I wouldn't normally put that as part of this queen's personality, Morgana, but that's very much how it feels to me here, and I'm going to go with that. He is particularly connected to this female here who's in this relationship, and this relationship is so very different than this relationship just by virtue of how they are laying on the table. Their heads are in very different places. You know, he's up, she's down. He's looking away from her, almost acting like she's not even there. There's this little gutter of space between them. Maybe, you know, people don't even know that they're in relationship together. Maybe he's her secret lover or something, or they might be separated by distance. Maybe they live in different parts of the country or something like that. But they are in the heart suit, which is, you know, an emotionally engaged relationship, and yet very different than this dynamic where the people are right on top of each other. I think this dynamic here is really interesting. It struck me as I was laying the cards out. This is the Field of Stones, the Eight of Spades, cards symbolizing roadblocks and obstacles that there's just too many really to even navigate. So better to maybe wait or something else, but it's just an impossible kind of situation. This card, however, paired with it is the garden. And in each one of these places where there's a roadblock, I feel like there's a flower being planted. This person is putting a little blessing on top of each one of their obstacles, and it feels really powerful. The hearts and the spades together also nurture each other, and I feel like there's something really important happening here. They're connected to these two cards just because of the proximity. And again, we have hearts and spades, and this is the Lover's card and the Enemy's card. Very opposite. It's like, oh, I can't decide if I hate you or I love you. And it's similar. It's like pouring love onto your conflicts, blessing your problems with this love dynamic. The difficulties and the emotion are very connected together. And now I'm moving up here, and I love this pair. Love this pair. This is the Sword of Healing, Sword of Hearts, combined with the Sword of Diamonds, the Sword of Truth. And I love this because it's like where you find your truth, there will be your healing. It feels so powerful to me, and it's in a powerful position on the table. This Seven of Diamonds is up in the corner, the uppermost corner of this layout. It feels like a cornerstone in the spread. You can see I don't really have other cards that particularly feel that way. My corners kind of got obliterated. And I want you to see the illustration on this card. There's little rays coming out from the sword. Can you see that? Little radiant lines. And it feels like it's shining out onto the rest of the spread, shining down like a star, like a guiding star in the sky of this reading, coming from the future. Coming from the future. This is the future portion of the spread. I just think that's so, I don't know, chilling, really. I love it. And another part of the spread that really grabbed me was this part over here. Just because there's so many of the same card, all these aces together surrounding these two court cards. I talked earlier about the possibility of aces being wild cards, but they didn't wind up that way here, and I'm not going to go there in this video. We may touch on that in a future video. But all my aces paired up, so I put them that way. And what I've got here is all kinds of possibilities for these two. All kinds of new things being planted and envisioned, like seeds for the future that these two are planting. Aces are the first number in each of their respective suits. So they're a birth in a sense. And I've got an ace in every suit. All kinds of possibilities, all kinds of seeds being planted. And I've got these two which are on their head. It feels very significant in this case. I feel like these two haven't found their footing yet. They're experimenting. They're trying brand new things. They're exploring new territory, and they're very brave. They're willing to fumble their way through things in order to plant these seeds, in order to make these dreams into realities. And I also love how two of these aces are here on the present timeline,